Good morning, and welcome to HIGHBLE. This is where we get high and talk about the Bible. And today, we're going to talk about the sexiest, most off-limits book in the Common Bible, which is known as the Song of Solomon. So today is all about love, sex, and some of the terrible and wonderful things that can come out of it. It won't be as long as last time, so I'll just start off with a quick prayer and we'll get to token. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this chance to connect over the internet, and let me not talk too far out of my ass, as per usual. Amen. So, the Song of Solomon is one of the most interesting books in the Bible. Young students of Judaism could not study it until they were a certain age because it was too graphic. And if you go back and read today, it's really interesting. It reads kind of like a bad edit, unless you have a really, really good translation, and I don't think most of the newer ones are actually that good. It sounds like a weird love triangle that nobody can kind of understand correctly, like it makes sense for a couple chapters and then doesn't. It has mostly to do with the labeling. But when I was younger, when I was 19, I went over to England to do like a conservatory style Bible school study for a couple months, and they went over the Song of Solomon, and it was ridiculous. The guy pointed out a mistranslated word, and it was so tricky because it's mistranslated, but it's also not. It's one of those weird words where if you understood the context and what that thing actually was, it's actually just an object that was mistranslated. It could be taken one of multiple ways, and you really need to know the context to get what it means. And just to get straight to it, it's a word for bed or bed chamber or something like that, and that's how it's sort of talked about today. So it starts out, for those of you who haven't read it, it's like this very poetic love story. There's a lover and a beloved, which is a way of saying, two partners that are very excited that they're going to be living their lives together. They've been so in love for so long, and it's really beautiful. They go through describing the way they feel for each other and how life's going to be better. Pardon the garbage trucks going around. Just listen to the music of it. But then it's kind of getting ambiguous because it talks about these people, and they've got friends who are kind of commentating on the whole thing, which is really a throwback to ancient Greek theater, which is where theater actually came from. Sort of chants, and then they would go from just chanting into actually putting dialogue in there and making an interesting story. So the Song of Solomon is written in the style of old Greek literature, poetry, whatever. And it's really, really cool. But like I said, it's confusing because it goes from lover to beloved to their friends that are congratulating them to back and forth, and then all of a sudden King Solomon is in the picture, and it seems to be saying that he is the man in this couple. But then there are passages that talk about the woman kind of breaking down and being very sad and wishing that she was with her lover, and the way it translates, which is not actually accurate today, is that pretty much this woman was in love with Solomon the king, and that he loved her as well, but he had to be away for work all the time, and she was sad because she missed him. Bullshit. That was mistranslated heartily because the word for his bed or bed chambers was not one that she went to willingly. It was the one that his servants carried around so that he could lie in bed and survey the countryside and go look for more women for his harem. Solomon was known for having so many wives and concubines. That was one of his biggest traits outside of doing really good business and getting a lot of money flowing through Israel. He was a hound dog. And when you translate that word over and you look at what actually changes in the context, you see that he approaches her with his traveling bed, and he calls her out as a beautiful woman that he wants. So you go back and reread how that plays out, and you have the couple that's in love, their friends who congratulate them, and then mean bastard King Solomon walks in on his fucking fancy ass bedchamber being carried by slaves, and he says, I feel like having another woman. So she gets taken. Now go back and reread the later chapters after that, where she's in his chamber, in the chamber of the king, but she misses her love. She's pining for him. This is basically what lust does when it's not good. This is what happens when the desire for sex outgrows the human heart. And it actually goes along with another story that was told to another king, David, which was Solomon's father. David kind of sparked the seed of losing the heart in this way when he commits adultery with a woman that actually belonged in marriage to a friend of his. He botches the situation entirely, fucks the whole thing up. King David does. And in his time, he had a friend who came to him and told him, you know, there's a guy who had all these sheep. So many. And he decides he wants a sheep for a feast, so he goes and steals one. That was his neighbor's one and only beloved pet sheep. And he kills him and uses him for the feast. King David gets pissed. He's like, I'm gonna find this guy and kill him. And his friend says, dude, that's you. That's what you did with your friend's wife. So fast forward to Solomon, and Solomon's got concubines untold, and he just doesn't give a shit about cruising the countryside, breaking up good partnerships, and ruining people's lives. That's what happens when lust outgrows the greater good. So, you're hanging out at home a lot lately, for one reason or another, and the dating scene isn't what it was, and, you know, Tinder or whatever isn't as productive. Think about that. Think about that. Not that everybody's evil, but that when the worm of lust is allowed to grow, it will keep itself going after a while. It will get out of hand. So interesting stuff about that book. Yeah, it's just absolutely nuts. That being said, love, amazing. Partnership, amazing. If you have a good situation, go with it. But step lightly, because it's important stuff. And to take sort of a side note, I love Eastern medicine and study and all that. And if you know your dantian, your chakras, your energy centers, whatever you want to call it, then you know that the center for sexuality is the same exact energy as sociability, friendship, joy, and fun. So if you're going to overbloat it and overinflate it and try and use it too much in one way, then those other areas of your life will fall short. If you want to be playing better music, if you want to be making better art, if you want more physical endurance for working out, save your energy. Sexual, social, happy, fun, joy, energy is what we call chi. So don't go living your life like you're just trying to eat all the candy. You know, have a little wholesomeness, channel your chi, do something good with it. Why? Why the fuck? Because the next chakra up, basically when you have too much of that energy, if you can hold out, the chemical process is that it literally converts itself into everything you need to produce willpower, which is awesome. That's probably why a lot of the negative news media wants to drain the joy out of people and get them sexually addicted to images and thoughts. Because when you trade that energy with a person, it's divine. Or it can be. When you're stuck alone and just mulling over thoughts or whatever, that's not good for you. Take that energy, let it build, let it convert until you're like, oh, I have to do this project. I have to play this music. I have to work out. I have to do something. I have to do something with myself. Because that is life. Rant complete. Stay cool.